things off in a couple of seconds. Just want to give people some time to join for the official start time. All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us on today's Wednesday Wise webinar. My name is Sydney Konahia, and I'm with the International Franchise Association, and we have a great 60 minutes lined up for you this afternoon. Before we get started, I just wanted to touch on a couple of things. We are recording today's webinar, and the recording, along with a copy of the slide deck, will be emailed out post-webinar. And if you have any questions for today's speakers, please feel free to drop those questions in the chat box or the Q&A box. Either one works, and they will get to those questions towards the end of the session. Today's topic is the state of franchise marketing, 5 key insights and strategies for growth for franchisors, and it's brought to us by Constant Contact. Here to provide today's discussion are Matthew Montoya, Senior Manager, Indirect Customer Ops and Success at Constant Contact, and Madeline Zook, CMO at Rolling Suds. Thank you both for joining us today, and thank you again to Constant Contact for sponsoring today's Wednesday Wise webinar. I will now go ahead and turn things over to Matthew and Maddie to get things started.
Hey, thank you, Sydney. And let's go ahead and just go to that bio slide, if you will. The next slide. Perfect. She just gave us an introduction, but I just want to explain who I am. So that crazy long title just means that I teach Constant Contact for a living, have done so for 14 years. I'm extraordinarily excited to be with you. Honestly, I'm kind of excited to be with you at all because hello from the Montreal Marriott Airport Hotel. I had a flight cancellation trying to come home from the Canadian Franchise Association. So if you hear a random noise, it might be housekeeping trying to kick me out. But no, I'm extraordinarily excited to bring this content to life, to bring this study to you today. But I'm especially excited to have my co-host today, Maddie. Maddie, why don't you give everybody an introduction, although I bet everybody already knows you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Madeline Zook. I am the CMO of Rolling Suds. I'm also a multi-unit franchisee and a multi-agency supplier. So all 3 legs of the stool. And yeah, very, very, very much in weeds with the marketing. So I'm excited to talk about this topic with you guys today.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and talk about our agenda. Fairly short agenda, but we're going to cram a lot into today. So we're going to be talking about why there's a challenge in maintaining brand reputation, although I'd be willing, but everybody watching probably knows what that is. AI, the buzzword of the last year and a half, and how it's reshaping franchise marketing priorities. Franchisor technology, what technology is needed, what technology is used. We'll have data to back up what you are all feeling out there. And then I think the big one, number 4, the one I consistently hear, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, control versus autonomy to drive franchisee marketing. Got Anne in the background. We're going to bring her up towards the end to proctor questions to us. So keep those questions coming in so she has something to do, and then we'll have some closing thoughts. So a little bit about this report that we're referring to. So earlier this year, Constant Contact launched this report, and we commissioned it in conjunction with the IFA and the Sin2 research. We polled about 503 marketing decision makers, 239 participants from the franchisor side, and 264 from the franchisee side across the US and Canada. And the reason why we commissioned this, Constant Contact's been in business 30 years. Be willing to bet you know our name as a industry-leading digital marketing platform. We've been in the franchise space about 15 years. And one thing that we have consistently heard from the franchisors that work with us is issues with that control, that ability to maintain brand control while still offering franchisee autonomy and have that local look and feel, along with a lot of other things that franchisors have shared with us. And what we did is we commissioned this study to actually have numbers behind what we've been hearing on the phones or seeing in person at events like CFA or IFA. And honestly, the report pretty much told us exactly what we were expecting to hear, that there are challenges that we'll share with you today. So let's go ahead and dig into some of those challenges. The first challenge, managing brand reputation, is challenging. That's the word challenge. What, about 7 times I've said already, Maddie? Like let's go ahead and dig in. So obviously, brand reputation is a franchise's most valuable asset. And it's also one of the hardest things to control at scale. Our research confirms this. 47% of franchisors cite managing brand reputation across multiple markets as their biggest challenge. Why is this so difficult? Probably preaching to the choir here, because franchises operate at the intersection of centralized brand strategy and decentralized local execution. The challenge just isn't about brand consistency, it's also about balancing corporate oversight with local autonomy. Today, we will break down the biggest obstacles in brand reputation management and share strategies that help franchisors protect their brand while empowering franchisees to make effective marketing in their local markets. Unlike single location businesses, franchises have to maintain brand reputation across multiple locations, owners, or even some cases, marketing teams. A few key factors make this difficult. Balancing consistency and customization. Franchisors want control while franchisees need that local flexibility to stay relevant. A digital first customer expectations. A customer's experience must be seamless from online search to in-store visits. Inconsistent execution, the big one. Some franchisees are marketing experts while others think they are. And so maintaining that brand control can be an issue, and high customer expectations. One bad experience at a single location, preaching to the choir here, can hurt the brand's reputation nationwide. With these factors in mind, the question is, how can franchisors maintain brand integrity while ensuring franchisees are empowered to market successfully? Well, let's explore some solutions. Brand inconsistency creates confusion for customers, making them second guess the business and reducing their likelihood of engaging or making a purchase. Poor execution, whether in messaging, design, or overall experience, directly impacts revenue and erodes trust. When one franchisee or location goes off the rails, goes off brand, it doesn't just affect them, it weakens the entire network, making it harder for others to maintain credibility and compete. Extreme deviations, such as unapproved promotions or off-brand customer experiences, can damage the entire franchise, sometimes leading to negative press or public backlash. Beyond brand perception, inconsistency also increases legal and compliance risks, as misleading messaging or unauthorized content can result in disputes or violations. Ultimately, maintaining a strong, unified brand isn't just about aesthetics. It's essential for protecting revenue, reputation, and long-term success. The most successful franchises take a structured yet flexible approach to brand reputation management. Here's the key framework they follow. They control the core. Franchisors must clearly define brand identity, logo use, voice, colors, messaging, and marketing best practices so that there is no ambiguity. Empower the local. Franchisees need approved marketing templates, easy to use technology, and clear guidance on how to localize marketing without going off brand. Monitor and adapt. Technology plays a key role here. The best brands use marketing platforms with real-time tracking, approval workflows, and automated compliance checks to ensure franchisees stay on brand while marketing effectively. This three-part approach keeps the brand consistent, localized, and agile. Our research found that franchisees using the right marketing tools are 2.5 times more likely to have a best-in-class marketing strategy. Why? Because technology bridges the gap between corporate control and local execution. Here's how the leading franchises are using technology to maintain brand reputation. They use franchise marketing platforms that let franchisees create localized campaigns while keeping messaging, logos, and branding consistent. They track performance in real time with analytics that provide insights into what's working and what needs some adjustment. They use AI and automation to generate brand compliant content, reduce manual work, and keep messaging aligned across all locations. By investing in the right technology, franchisors ensure consistency, reduce risk, and help franchisees succeed without micromanaging their marketing. Now, let's go ahead and explicitly talk about what's up next. Oh, actually, the world that was. What's up next is Maddie. So Maddie, let's bring you in and talk a little bit about the challenge of maintaining brand reputation.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone on here understands like the brand, the brand, the brand. I would beg to say that everyone also understands we need to have templates, we need to have customization, but I think the biggest, most challenging piece of managing the brand reputation is the adoption rates of everything, right? The biggest piece of email that I see in franchise systems is we either don't have a CRM that is built for marketing, meaning, say it's like field routes or workies. It goes in, it's mainly for ops, right? So there's a lack of that sales CRM, if you will. Or maybe you have a full sales CRM, let's say Fran Connect, but because it's tasked with doing so many more high priority things, franchisees are never going to go there when they're thinking email marketing. So, that's a piece that you want to think about when you're talking about brand reputation, and managing all of your assets and keeping everything in line and in tune with, the structure and system. But again, you got to meet franchisees where they are. You got to
Mm.
make it easy and you got to give them options. Just like most times you're giving them options for different vendors or, certain trucks you can buy, whatever it may be. You got to also consider that for the email portion or your marketing portion. If they're not going to use the CRM to email, do we need to give them another option? Because if you don't, they will make it themselves. So again, looking at usability, look at adoption rates. Those are big components. Just because you have it doesn't mean that they will use it. So again, you might think what you have is great, and if the adoption rates and the feedback is not showing that, there are chances that you are going to need to make more investments or have more meetings or more discussions around what would be best so that we can keep everyone from going rogue, utilizing our brand templates, and in turn getting the data to show franchisees, what's working, what tone, what messaging, what image is working the best.
You just brought up a dirty word. Have you ever had a franchisee go rogue? And what was the
A dirty word. You clearly have not heard me if rogue is a dirty word. Born and
well,
raised Boston, live in Philly. Oh my gosh.
in terms of marketing, having the franchisee going rogue is something can be a problem. Have you ever had that happen?
I've have it happen all the time. And I would say there's levels of rogue, right? We have the franchisee that posts an organic post and maybe it's not the best font, or maybe, the logo's slightly cut off, and as a marketer or a founder, you're like, "Ah, my beautiful brand, my baby, don't do this." You got to pick and choose, because then if you've got a franchisee going and running social media ads and saying, "I like the logo green instead of red," that's the problem. Again,
Hmm.
most of your franchisees, they're going to be focused on things that they don't realize don't put money in the cash register. And what I mean by that in terms of marketing is, they, even if they don't like creative, they're going to have opinions on what they think looks best and what doesn't. Oftentimes, if I have the ability and I have the systems in place that I know are easy for franchisees to use, I have the templates, I have the coaching, mentorship, whatever it is, I can go back to them and saying, "Hey, I see that you created this on your own. Here's why I don't want you spending an hour doing that on your own, because whether that template is red or green, mind you, green is approved, that's not probably going to change the ROI that you're getting from that social ad, right? Whereas if you spent that hour cold outreaching, yard signs, calling for customer service and booking more, recurring jobs, that's going to net you more revenue. So explaining not only the value of the brand, but the value of the time and what they're trying to recreate is super helpful, because then it's like, "Ah, yeah, you're probably right. Let me use what we have." If it's a question of not knowing how to use it or not understanding, well, that's something franchisees always deal with, and just constantly having to remind them of the resources and the templates and the reason why.
So we're going to bring you back, but we're going to talk about that buzzword next, artificial intelligence, and the role that it may or may not be playing now for you,
We have
and
a
the role that
question
it's.
first I want to answer from Jessica Martin that says, "Do you
Yeah,
have
go
a
ahead.
strategy to help franchisees understand why this ROI is important? We struggle with this daily." And I assume, Jessica, maybe drop in the chat. I'm not sure. I'm assuming you mean the ROI of keeping the brand compliant. And usually what I'll show them is a very, very quick side by side, and you can email me or LinkedIn me afterwards. I can send you this little presentation of like, this is why the brand is important. You paid this franchise fee and you have an understanding of the brand. She said, "Yes, that is correct. The time spent on creating their own content when they already have it set up." Yeah. So
Yeah.
essentially and this goes to when people ask for tags and pixels and access to their websites. I'm like, guys, here is a collection of requests that I received for, creative. Here's what we have. Here's how much time it took professional designers. Here's also what I scraped from people posting on their own and can imagine, let's 2x the time because they're not
Mhm.
professional designers. Now they're seeing, oh, what everyone is posting, not brand compliant, looks like shit. Sorry, I said I wasn't going to swear. I retract. Looks bad. Also, okay, cool. They spent an hour on this. What, my royalties, do I really need that? And this is what we have. And I show them the comparison on what looks better and also what looks most efficient. Is this to this going to change your mind? And letting it be more open-ended and understanding our job as franchisors is to make you money. And the way we do that is helping you manage time and giving you that formula. I can't have you spending a majority of your time recreating templates that, again, maybe they change the percentage of ROI by 1 or 2 or like 0.1, 0.2, depending on what you're looking at. So I do it that way. Another piece that I say, and I'm trying to talk quick, Matt, because I know you're on a schedule.
That's right.
Another piece I talk about is the website. If I allowed every single franchisee to add every pixel they wanted, I have now opened the website up to 100 franchisees and their individual pixels with individual companies. That is a risk, and that is data spread everywhere. And I don't think you want that for the brand that you paid an enormous fee to be a part of. So kind of explaining it to them in what is your time worth versus also how much you've already invested to the brand. We don't want to dilute what that looks like and what that has cost you so far.
So obviously, I was going to pivot into AI, but I want to stay on this theme that we've gone into here, which is, when I was at CFA this weekend, I asked many franchisors, do you ever teach your franchisees the danger of breaking up your brand equity, in the sense that if somebody goes rogue, like, here is why this can affect everybody? Are you ever that overt in saying, look, you bought into this franchise, and if somebody messes with the brand, it's hurting everyone? Do you ever kind of break it down that simply for them?
I do, and not in a way that, because people are inherently selfish, right? We care about ourselves. And franchisees are small business owners first in their market. And the first time anyone comes at them and says, this doesn't look good, don't do this, you don't understand my market. You don't understand my market. And so oftentimes, instead of giving it to them as a whole, I break it down based on the data they have currently. So, coaching franchisees on, look, here is what we have, this marketing revenue calculator. I'm sure millions of you have seen it. If you haven't, hit me up. I'll send it to you. That basically breaks down based on their cost per lead, their conversion rates, their average ticket size, lifetime value of a customer, whatever that may be, and goal revenue, how much they would have to invest in digital based on those benchmarks. So on that, I can basically on paid break out to the dollar where they need to spend what, whether it's Google, whether it's Meta, whatever it may be, to get a certain ROI. Now, we know that marketing can't just be digital. It has to be a percentage of local. So I also ask them to track their hours. I would like them to track their investments too, but hours is the biggest thing that they track. So then I could say, look, from the yard signs, and we've got call tracking numbers and QR codes and this, that, and the other thing, promo codes. But now we know from the hours that you've spent, I see how many leads you got from digital. Now I can, do it backwards and say, this is how many leads you got from local. And now we can see that your hourly worth is worth X in dollars. So when we're going back and talking about what are they doing that's rogue? Are they creating stuff? Are they, wearing I don't know. I'm just, let's say, creating emails that aren't, right? How much time are you wasting I'll say wasting, spending on that? And based on our calculations, this is equivalent to X amount of leads or X amount of revenue. Do you think that changing our template by the conversion rates, even if yours was better, netted that much in your bank account?
I love that. That is so smart.
So
And
everyone, I'm going to drop in my LinkedIn to the chat. If you want the marketing calculator, I'm happy to send it to you. Just send me a DM that says calculator now, and I'll send it to you after this.
give me calculator. Give me calculator.
Give me calculator.
So I'm glad you answered, guys. That's what I was about to go in. Well, let's talk a little bit about AI, and we'll bring you right back as we get through this part. So obviously, AI is a big buzzword. It's revolutionizing franchise marketing. Artificial intelligence is no longer an emerging trend. It is a must-have for franchise marketing in 2025. According to our research, 33% of franchisors are prioritizing AI to implementation this year, outpacing other key areas like marketing personalization, 30%, and data analytics improvement, 20%. Why the shift? AI has the potential to scale marketing operations, improve efficiency, we're just talking about efficiency, and drive higher engagements across multi-location brands. In this next section, we'll explore how AI is transforming franchise marketing, what franchisors are prioritizing, and how to implement AI effectively while maintaining brand integrity. For years, personalization and data analytics have been top priorities in franchise marketing, but in 2024, AI has overtaken both. 33% of franchisors are prioritizing AI, showing a clear shift in how franchises view marketing efficiency. While personalization data insights remain important, AI is seen as the catalyst that make both of these strategies more scalable. AI-driven tools allow franchises to automate tasks, analyze vast amounts of data in real time, and create hyper-targeted marketing campaigns with less effort, with less of that time spent. This signals a major industry shift. Franchises are no longer just exploring AI, they are investing in it as a strategic priority. Why are they investing and making it a priority? Because it solves three of their biggest marketing challenges. According to our study, efficiency and automation, AI reduces manual workload by automating campaign creation, customer segmentation, and content generation. Better targeting and personalization. AI analyzes customer data faster and more accurately than humans, delivering highly relevant messaging at scale. Scalability and performance optimization. AI continuously learns from campaign performances and adjusts strategies in real time to maximize ROI. For franchises operating across multiple locations, AI is key to doing more with less, helping local teams execute high quality marketing without increasing overhead. AI adoption isn't just theoretical, it's already happening in key areas in franchise marketing. AI generated content. Franchisors and franchisees use AI to create marketing copy, headlines, email content instantly. Chatbots and customer service. AI powered bots provide 24-hour customer support, answering FAQs and driving conversions. Predictive analytics. AI studies customer behavior to predict future buying patterns and optimize marketing decisions. AI ad targeting. AI reduces audience segmentation in real time, improving ad performance and reducing wasted spend. Dynamic personalization. AI customizes website and email experiences for each customer, increasing engagement and conversions. Franchisors who embrace these AI-powered tools will gain a competitive edge, improving efficiency, engagement, and marketing ROI across all locations. So, Maddie, what's your take on AI? How's it reshaping franchise marketing priorities for you and anybody else you know?
Buzzword. It's such a buzzword.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple things that like I have also picked up from other people is one, Lindsay McFadden at Stretch Zone said so many times franchisees come to us because AI, and they're presenting these solutions and they don't know what the problem is, right? Well, this could be good for my business. Great. What are we trying to solve? So, I always want to ask that question first. The second, I like to say, look, I'm all for the short-term gains. Your girl has zero patience. But when I'm implementing something, this is something that I don't necessarily want to take out for the next 5 to 10 years. Like this has to have longevity. This has to have scale. This has to have privacy. So while, I'll probably give my franchisees a little bit more flexibility when it comes to, I want to try this AI, I don't know, something rather like, a text messaging or whatever, assuming that all of the can spam laws are, whatever, being adhered to, fine. But as a franchisor, I get very hesitant to just jump at the first thing that says, oh, it's going to make you more dollars. Because guess what? As much as franchising changes, it doesn't. And you know what else is like that? People. So for instance, and usually when franchisees come to me, I'm like, what does AI mean to you? Are we talking about like robot, you don't have to touch it, it does your sales for you? Because you bought a franchise, and if you do that, I can't ever guarantee some sort of data and results. You're asking me to shoot from the hip with your life investment. Let's not do that. If we're worried about the conversion rate because you can't pick up the phone enough, well, look at these call center options. So like things like that. Is it a cost? Like what is the why? And I guess to Lindsay's point, what's the problem they're trying to solve?
Mhm.
Outside of that, we're already using AI. There's a lot of AI, but it might not be the AI they want, right? Like I'm using AI to do all of my family's calendars. I want the AI that does its laundry, right? So there's different types of AI that they don't see that is going on. What I do see, however, is that there is ability here with AI to boost the bottom quartile franchisees. And what I mean by that is there's people want to work with people. It hasn't changed. And if anything, it's gone back to that even further post COVID, people going back to the office, the remote, all of that is done. They want to interact before they transact. And people know when you're talking to a not a real person. And in my world, when it comes to home services, guess what? If I never talk to a real person, I'm not letting that maid company in my house. Right? What is the risk? What is the privacy? At what cost am I willing to never deal with a human? We have to remember as a customer, that's what we're dealing with, right? So I want to focus on the conversion rates more than the speed, because even though I know I just said I want to focus on the franchisee's time, that doesn't mean doing everything quicker. It just means spending that time in the right areas. And then on top of that, when I talk about the bottom quartile franchisees, say we have a call center, right? Or it's optional, and you have a franchisee that no matter freaking what, they don't pick up the phone. They're picking up 4 out of every 10 calls. Well, guess what? I'm giving them an AI generated option that maybe it's cheaper, maybe it's whatever, but I would rather have a bot answer that call than not at all.
Nobody.
So
Yeah.
I think that there's a way that the streamlining can bring up that bottom quartile that risk and recovery, maybe they weren't cut out to be business owners, maybe they're burnt out, whatever it may be, to help a system there. And sure, a little bit of AI here, a little bit of automation there is going to help the median as a whole, but we're already doing that. And then at the very, very top, sure, we're exploring, but in my opinion, there's nothing there yet that has blown me away or that I think, is so much so changing conversion rates and cost per leads, that it's like this silver bullet. I think people think that AI is a silver bullet, like they also think there's a silver bullet out there for Fran Dev leads. No, the reality is that the better you can use AI to streamline the mundane tasks, the data analytics, the copywriting, that's what's going to assist you so that you can spend more human to human time supporting franchisees, and same thing in their business as well.
I'm going to share a little bit of opinion, but then there's a bit of a question in this too, which is Constant Contact's had AI in our platform for about a year now, where it'll actually create like email content, text-based content, etc. And I mean, one thing franchisors, just to share a little bit of inside baseball, one thing franchisors they're very interested in anything that's going to make everybody more efficient, but they do want to be able to influence the AI to make sure that it's using the right wording, the right phrasing, and make sure it's avoiding problematic speech. We're actually developing that right now for franchisors. But regardless, what I've seen is you still have to have the franchisee actually do it, right? It still requires them to lift a finger and care. And it seems to me like your philosophy is, you've got to really put the WIFM into anything that you're going to do through the franchisees, because it doesn't matter what the technology is, if they're not going to play a role, who cares, right?
Exactly. And I struggle. I was actually talking to Adam Contos about this the other day. I think he's on here. I struggle with wanting to meet franchisees where they are, but not over enabling them to do less. And that's hard. AI makes that difficult. So to your point, yeah, whatever system I'm working with, whatever supplier, my philosophy is I'm only signing a contract with you if I trust you to go run a convention for my franchisees without me. That is the level that we have to have. So again, I'm working with that supplier to make sure whatever AI, whatever copy and content that they're helping our franchisees create or promote is within the brand standards. But again, to your point, they still have to lift a finger and do it. Yes, you can automate that, but at the end of the day, you could right now pull stats from brands that just send the automated emails on the 1st and the 15th, and the franchisees that do, in addition to that, XYZ. And I guarantee you the metrics are going to be so much better on the higher effort side. So it's a constant coaching of, where that effort needs to be and why.
Well, I think this is a good pivot point. We'll bring you back at the end of this next segment to talk about technology and what's driving marketing success. So, marketing technology is no longer just a tool; it's the backbone of successful franchise marketing, according to our research. According to that study, franchises using the right marketing tools are 2.5 times more likely to have best-in-class marketing strategy, 83% versus just 44%. So why does that matter? Because the right technology allows franchisors to ensure brand consistency across all locations, give franchises the tools to market effectively in their own regions, and gain visibility into performance data to make smarter marketing decisions. In this next section, we'll explore how leading franchisors are using marketing technology to drive growth, efficiency, and stronger franchisee collaboration. Technology isn't just about automation, it's about adaptability, visibility, and ease of use, to the point that Maddie and I were talking about, and just to a certain extent just a moment ago. Our research confirms that franchises using the right marketing technology are going to have that high performing marketing strategy, because adaptability, a great marketing tech stack, allows brands to adjust to consumer behaviors and marketing trends. Visibility, franchisors can gain real-time insights into how franchisees are executing marketing efforts, allowing for proactive decision-making and ease of use. If marketing tools aren't simple for franchisees to use, adoptions suffer. My line whenever I talk to franchisors is, what good does it do to procure a solution if the franchisees won't implement it, if they won't pick it up, if it's too complex? It may have all the bells and whistles in the world, but if they're not going to use it, what's the point? Bottom line is, the franchises that invest in the right tools scale more effectively, maintain that brand consistency, and drive those stronger results. What does a strong franchise marketing technology stack look like? Well, it should have 4 essential components. Marketing automation, AI-powered tools for email marketing, SMS, and social media ensure franchisees stay engaged without needing extra manual effort. Analytics and performance tracking. Data dashboards allow franchisors to monitor franchisee marketing efforts in real time, making it easier to track what's working and, more importantly, what's not. Brand management templates. There's that template word. Pre-approved social media posts, email templates, and ad creatives keep branding consistent while allowing franchisees to personalize for local audiences. And CRMs. Franchises need tools to track leads, follow up with customers, and build those long-term relationships. When all 4 of these elements work together, franchises are empowered to market effectively, and franchisees are empowered to market effectively, and franchisors have the oversight they need. Despite the benefits of marketing technology, only 39% of the franchisees that we polled strongly agree that they're being provided with the right tools. Where are the biggest gaps? Well, we found that automation. Many franchisees struggle with time constraints and need automation to keep marketing consistent. Analytics. Without performance insights, franchisees can adjust strategies for better results and localized marketing support. Franchisees need technologies that make it easy to adapt corporate campaigns to their local audience without going off brand. Franchisors that provide those easy to use integrated marketing solutions see higher franchisee satisfaction, stronger brand consistency, and better overall marketing performance. So how can franchisors strengthen their marketing tech stack? Invest in user-friendly tech. If a tool is too complex, as I said, franchisees won't use it. Seamless integration is key to adoption. Ensure real-time visibility. Franchisors need clear reporting dashboards to track franchisee marketing efforts and automate and optimize. AI-powered content generation, email sequencing, and campaign execution reduce the workload for both corporate and franchisees. By following this approach,
Optimate.
Yeah,
Like
that is me with very little sleep after this whole travel fun that I've had. Um, I'm glad you picked up on that. By
Sure
following this
did.
approach, franchisors create scalable, adoptable marketing systems that ensure brand consistency while allowing franchisees to market with confidence. So, Maddie, beyond making fun of my sleep-deprived word choice, um, what I have a feeling a CRM is going to come up here, but what technology do you feel is more driving success?
Yeah, well, on the point, and I'm allowed to say this because I'm a franchisee of 5 different brands. Like, we are the worst. Franchisees are the worst. We are like when they have like those toddlers in a line and they have to hold the rope. Well, no one's holding the rope, right? And not only that, everyone thinks they're the teacher. So you have to have options, but at the same time, you have to have the engines for marketing. The biggest piece is a CRM, and you'd be shocked that a lot of franchisors, maybe yours included, don't have that true marketing CRM that you can run all of your posts out of, all of your emails. And you know what? That's okay. As long as you understand that it's best if you have a centralized flow where all of the leads flow into, that's great. Otherwise, there are workarounds, but that also includes franchisees are going to have their leads in a spreadsheet. They're going to be maybe mass emailing out and getting your domain blacklisted. Like, there are definite risks to that. But all that to say, you have to find what's best for your brand. And what's best for your brand is always going to be a solution that has franchise experience. Point blank. And I know people are like, BS, like I find things that are great all the time. And that's awesome. But I am not that early adopter. And I know, there is such a crucial piece here that it's not only about the tech, it's also about the support. And if the CRM doesn't have a great support structure, well, now I have become the support structure on
Yep.
top of the support structure that I'm already supporting. So, there's a piece of that technology and that piece. And then there's also a part of, to your point, Matt, like the adoption. And a lot of times what I tell them is, guys, if you don't utilize these, or you're not using the ones we're telling you to use, then when you come to me and ask me, how much should a lead cost? What can I do better? Why isn't it working? I cannot go into the system and look at the data that tells me where you should be, what is the brand benchmark at, what could you be at, how far out of the range are you? Because I don't have the brand benchmarks because they're not using it. So it's all about the roll-up data so that we can continue to optimize for you. And this goes to what copy works, what content is working the best, what sales, pitch, or all of those different things. What social media cadence, do we use eggs for Easter? Do we use the bunny? Like, all of the little tiny pieces that you can switch this or that. We can track that, but only if franchisees adhere to it. And then on top of that, I say, not only that, I'm going to break it down by region, because guess what? California and Maine, not the same. And I'm going to break it down. If that's not good enough for you, I'll break it down by revenue level. I don't want to compare you to the $2 gajillion office that opened 30 years ago. Let's compare you to the same people that are in your revenue level. Oh, not good enough? Let's compare you to the same cohort that you launched with. Let's look at all of these pieces, because at the end of the day, this is how the marketing gets better, right? If you're not getting enough impressions, your budget is not big enough. It's pay to play. And by budget, I mean time or cash, one or the other. It's just not there. If it's impressions to clicks, then it's a creative issue. It wasn't good enough to click or to call, whatever it is. If it's clicks to conversions, it's a conversion issue. Is your form too long? Is it below the fold? Whatever that may be. If it's you're getting the conversions and they're not qualified, it's a platform issue. Are you going to TikTok trying to sell a deck? They probably don't have enough money. I mean, maybe they do, but stereotypically. And then if it's qualified leads to sales, guess what? Sales problem, not marketing, sales. And then if it's we win the customer and we're not having that recurring, or the average ticket size is too low, it's a customer service. And at that point, ops issue, join a different Wednesday webinar, because that's no longer my problem. So
Yeah.
all of that to say, that is so easily comprehended by franchisees. And I tell them, I can only guess if you don't use something that allows me to read the data.
How often do you rely on franchisees that are doing the right thing and might have influence on franchisees that aren't.
Oh, you have to. You have to. And I think one of the biggest problems is we spend the majority of our time on the lower quartile of franchisees because they're the loudest and the neediest, and we're not investing enough in the people that are working the system right because they don't need us as much because the system works. On that, I try to be cognizant of using those pillars in our franchise space. Peer to peer, way better than mom and dad to kid, right? Like if I have an 8, 6, and 2. If I need the 2-year-old to do something, guess what? Her sister's telling her, not me. Right. So those are the things. And then a lot of times your FAC or you might have regional groups, they'll allow you to use data or look at their data and say, yeah, here's what I'm doing. This is what it works. And then you can present that to other franchisees. So having definitive proof, utilizing people that are doing the same model that they are and spending their real dollars is always helpful. And I would beg to say you can't not do it.
Do you leverage your FA to require the franchisee to use particular tools?
I don't task them with governance, if that's what you mean, but I definitely have them test trial software and pieces out before anything goes live to the system. I also encourage them to get real feedback and real, requests or suggestions from the system as well. They're my go-to before I go to the entire system. And then I also say, as a request from me, like, if you see a franchisee that's not using the system, help me help them by helping encourage what is working. And even if there's not everything's working for you, encourage what is, and have that conversation with them if they're coming to you. Because again, to wrap this up with a bow, it helps the entire brand equity.
I think that's, I couldn't think of a better pivot point to talk about the final segment of our presentation here. The control versus autonomy divide in franchisee marketing. As I said before, this report that we launched highlighted challenges we've heard from franchisors for years. Challenges, as I said, we resolve at Constant Contact. To generate most franchise systems must strike a balance between brand and message control and offering enough localization to appease those franchisees. Some cases also have that local touch, so to make sure that they have that localized campaign that's going to be relevant to local audiences. The tricky part is in most systems, marketing skill is very divided. So let's talk about the control versus autonomy divide. So
Just
marketing
big
control,
big
what's that?
sigh.
I know. Marketing control and franchising is not black and white. And this, I'm an actually positive because I'm glad you gave me that second, because this is the challenge. This is the challenge, at least on the constant contact side. This is what we hear the most, and there is no black and white. Like, franchisees exist on a spectrum. There's a couple of different ways that comes to life. So you can have full franchisor control. Some franchises centralize their marketing efforts. They limit franchisee input. They get buy-in at things like conferences and seminars. But this ensures consistency, but can stifle local engagement. I was actually pretty impressed at CFA. I did meet a few franchisors that are hardcore draconian. They let franchisees do anything.
Yeah.
But I gather that that's really more vertical specific. Like the couple that I did meet were in verticals where it didn't really matter that they were doing
Well, like
a lot of control.
chiropractic, we don't need people to be breaking HIPAA laws, right? Like those are some situations for sure. But I would also say it depends on the age of the brand, the size, the category. You're completely correct.
Yeah, well, there was one consistent thing in both of these franchise systems that I talked to that have this iron fist control, which is their legacy franchises. They've been around a while, and ultimately both agreed that they have to produce the results. Like, the reason they're able to have the control that they have is because their average ticket is continuing to climb or staying steady. I think the issue comes when there's fluidity and you don't necessarily have the ability to say my way or the highway, and yeah, your average ticket is not that high, or something of that nature. The other part of the spectrum is shared control. This is the most common model that we found in our study. It's also the most common model we have with our franchise partners. Providing the franchisors are providing templates, tools, campaigns while allowing some customization at that local level. And then full franchise autonomy, which is the scariest of them all. Some franchisees handle their own marketing, but this comes with obvious risk, branding consistency, compliance issues, and efficiencies. And inefficiency, going back to something Maddie brought up a little bit earlier, most successful franchises, as I said, fall in the middle, offering that structured support while giving franchisees the flexibility to engage in their local audience. Now, our data was clear. Franchisees, they say they want control. Remember, if you just you joined us a bit late, this report we polled both franchisees and franchisors. Franchisees say they want control over their marketing. 61% of franchisees with full control said they were very satisfied, but satisfaction drops to 38% who have moderate control and plummets to 20% that have no control. Interestingly, and this was the part that really got me excited and kind of made my heart sing, our heart flutter, was our research also showed that many franchisees think they have full autonomy, when in reality, the franchisors often had back-end controls. That was a really interesting piece of the study, because I just said that 61% of the franchisees think they have full support, full control of their marketing, but our research said it's not actually true. They just think they are. So this suggests that perceived autonomy plays a major role in franchisee satisfaction. Even when the franchisors set brand guidelines and guardrails, franchisees feel more engaged when they have a sense of ownership over their marketing. So how can franchisors create this perception of autonomy while maintaining brand consistency? That's where structured flexibility comes in. The best franchisors don't take an all or nothing approach to marketing control. Instead, they create structured flexibility, a system that ensures brand consistency while allowing franchisees to personalize their marketing. They define non-negotiables, clearly communicating what cannot be changed: logos, messaging, compliance standards, etc. So franchisees know their boundaries. They enable customization within those guardrails. Instead of restricting franchisees, provide them with AI-powered tools or templates or marketing automation that allow them to create localized content while staying on brand. And they also offer ongoing support and collaboration. Franchisees need training, resources, and clear processes for giving feedback on corporate marketing strategies. By implementing this three-part framework, franchisors ensure marketing consistency at scale while giving franchisees the control they crave or think they crave. So, Maddie, what's your take on this divide, this spectrum? I always say there's three kinds. There's some that are really able marketers. They really buy in. They use the tools that you want. They follow the guidelines. They're growing their business. Then you have that middle group that need a lot of hand holding, and you need to do a lot of work with them. But then there's that group that just will never do anything.
Yeah. So I would say, as David Barr would say, and if you don't know David, he's just a pillar in the franchise space and just a fabulous person overall, says, when you're creating systems for your brand, you want to do what the average franchisee on the average day in an average region is going to do, right? Not necessarily the highest performers or the lowest. You got to run the median. And on that, I would say the median changes. What does average look like for you? And it's dependent on your industry, the time of year, your size, where I would say, like, no autonomy whatsoever, McDonald's. Don't let me mess this up for myself or anyone else. But you're opting into something like that. Whereas if I'm a franchise and I've got 2 locations, I'm not quite sure what's going to work best, especially if I've never been in Denver and you're the first one in Colorado. So I want you to have a little more autonomy, because that's a different type of franchisee, right? So who are you bringing in? Why? At what stage of growth? And there is going to be a time where you could have been full autonomy to fully, not. So you have to understand where you're at and what are your franchisees like. Now, in that, I always say, to your point, like, you can lead him to water. You can't force him to drink. And also, what I do with my husband, I have to make him think it's his idea, right? So look, I'm going to send automated emails. Here's what it's going to say. If you wish to opt out, you may. If you want to opt in, great. And if you want to add different emails out, here are the templates you have to choose from. Here's the minimal things that you can customize or localize, different promo codes, different colors, different templates, whatever it may look like. So again, they're not spending so much time trying to recreate the wheel. They still have options, but they also have those like bowling bumpers where it's like, I can't allow you to completely go off the rails, ruin everybody else's day as well as your own. So I'm always for that kind of control and autonomy. And depending on what the tech is or where my system is, I might lean one way more towards the other. Like, for instance, digital marketing right now is really, really hard, and people are not understanding why it works, why it doesn't. I did a webinar. If you want that too, on all of the metrics, LinkedIn, it's there. All that to say is, if I told a franchisee that they don't have to spend in digital, or I'm not going to enforce that minimum, they're not going to spend it because they don't understand how that data is working or what they should expect. So that's a situation where I'm forcing the hand a little bit more on what they have to spend, where they have to spend it, and what they're doing for that. Whereas maybe if it came to email or more brand awareness, I'm loosening the reins a little bit. So it's always a give and take. And honestly, it depends per franchisee too. If I know I have a great marketer franchise, it used to be a CMO of like Dove. I'm like, you know more than me. So let's talk through this and figure out, again, what is the expectation and who's accountable for it. And I think that always is where we have to go back to the base.
One place I've seen this schism, of how much control you apply, how much you don't, is tenure in terms of how tenured the franchise system is. I found where fairly new franchise orgs have this tight grip control because they only have a few franchisees, right? But then as they start to scale up, it becomes more and more decentralized. Is that something you see as well?
Yeah, I mean, the tricky part here is when you're growing, right? So what once was centralized quickly can become decentralized. And I just actually was working with you guys and I said, hey, I'm, on the board of this brand now. Let's see what their email stack look like. And even your team goes, oh, I think they were centralized and then not, and then back to parent. So all that to say, you grow really quick. And I prefer to have, for the key stakeholders of the marketing engine, let's say CRM, Google business pages, email marketing, and website. Let's say those are centralized billing, because guess what? If a franchisee closes, if their credit card fails, if they sell, I need to have access to that, and none of that can go down.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if they're different paid efforts, if it's a Facebook vendor, if it's a videographer, one-off creative, I don't know, TikTok shorts, then I can decentralize that because it's not necessarily too harmful to them depending on billing or not. Now, again, then it comes down to the creative piece of it as well. So you have to understand in a worst case scenario where you're willing to take a hit if it's decentralized, and also what your support staff looks like, because you can't centralize everything and not structure support for it as well.
So I want to remind everybody, there's been so many questions about getting their hands on your calculator that
Yeah.
your answer to that is go find Maddie on LinkedIn and she will
Mhm.
give you that calculator along with, I believe she mentioned a webinar
It
recording.
is an editable Google sheet. Have fun with it.
So let's go ahead and get into final thoughts and get to your questions. So Anne, be ready with your mic. Just want to make sure that we cover all four takeaways from today. So brand reputation is the top challenge. Nearly half of the franchisors that we polled struggle with brand consistency across markets, making structured marketing support essential. AI adoption is accelerating. AI is now a higher priority than even personalization and data analytics, showing the growing role AI has in marketing efficiency and scalability. Technology makes a major impact. Franchises with the right tools are 2.5 times more likely to succeed, proving that the right tech stack enables better execution. And franchisees want autonomy, but balance is key. While more control leads to higher satisfaction, franchisors still need that oversight to maintain brand integrity. The key takeaway, franchisors must invest in scalable marketing tools, AI-driven automation, and structured flexibility to empower franchisees while protecting the brand. And so, Maddie, your final thoughts before we take questions.
Yeah, my final thoughts is always to get down to the why. Uh, why do they want to do something? And then what is that why worth? And the more you can break down their hours spent and their revenue per lead and you have that data, even if you have a little bit, even if it's just your corporate store, you can build a benchmark off of that. And that's always going to be helpful, because no matter what, if it comes down to them wanting to create emails themselves, if they want to do, their own door knocking, whatever it is, and you can then say, well, this is how we do it in our system. Based on this franchisee, am I willing to let them go rogue with a leash or not at all, based on my system and that franchisee? And then what are the expectations that are going to come out of it? Because if I let you go rogue on a leash, are you going to come back and bite me?
Mhm.
Or are we going to understand that this is something we both agreed on? So I always say, again, the why, the expectation, and then document everything. Always lead with data. And obviously, franchising has this overarching thing of like, we're therapists as well. Life is intertwined, life happens. That's why we always have to rely on the data. The better we get that, people understand it. There's no guessing. And the rest, I guess, is all ops. Not my problem anymore.
So I am a company man, and I have to talk about a little about Constant Contact since
And
we
you
are
should.
the
And I
hosts
will say,
today.
before people leave, Constant Contact approached me and was like, we're trying to learn more about franchising. Will you help us? I was like, yeah, sure. And they're like, we do this webinar. And I'm like, yeah, not a client, but okay. I sat down with Matt. I beat him up in the Matty, like, no bullshit. And it's legit. And we have now signed on Rolling Suds for all of our locations. And we're super excited to be a partner. And we did have email issues of a CRM, no adoption rate, all of the standard stuff. So it is Maddie approved. Not that that matters to anyone, but I am
It
happy to
matters
be a
to me. You
partner.
did beat me up, but I'll just say in the end, we are more than just email marketing, as you see on the left, and we have the ability to tailor a partnership with Constant Contact to your model, so you can do it with them, do it for them, let them do it, mix and match to your different franchisees' abilities. But and with our remaining 3.5 minutes, you have any other questions other than how do I get Maddie's calculator?
Man, you took the words out of my mouth. Maddie, next webinar, we'll just have it be on your calculator there.
Listen, it's a great calculator. It's so funny. My husband created it because we're franchisees, and it's probably the most used tool. And it's shocking that it's not already out there, but I get it. And it's very easy to tell franchisees, look, spend this, get this, and if you don't want to spend that, local effort.
You don't get that.
Well, shout out to your husband. Yes,
Don't shout him out. He doesn't need any more credit.
A question came in just a few minutes ago from Jackie on the lines of the marketing strategy and expectations. Does this have to be fully outlined in the NFDD/FA, or can we pivot and change our strategy? Let me know if you need an example in case this is unclear.
Yeah, no, you don't have to put the full strategy in the FDD. All you have to outline is the marketing minimums in which you want them to spend, which is usually a percentage of royalty. And then it's also, detailing out if you are going to make them utilize your preferred vendors, meaning they have to use the marketing systems that are approved by corporate, or if they can go and use their own individually.
Awesome. Hope that was helpful to Jackie and others. How do you see the balance between brand control and local autonomy shifting as more technology becomes available to franchisees?
I think, you have to have a pulse on your system. I think obviously the bigger you get, the more compliant heavy you get because of this. It's harder to monitor 1 million cats than it is 10. But that said, you have to also be out there exploring and discovering yourself. You want to be the first ones, and you have your FAC or whatever it may be, your control group trialing new things, so that you can consistently tell your franchisees that you're being innovative. Please don't go do it yourself. Here are the risks. If you do want to explore it yourself, come to us first, or keep these things in mind. I always kind of give people a danger sheet if you're utilizing AI. and you do these things, even though we recommend against it, here's what can happen. So for instance, if I'm telling you not to text people and you go and text people, you can get sued for can spam. If I tell you not to mass email people and you do, our domain's going to get blacklisted and you'll never be able to email everyone. So also using like the danger sheet as well, to hopefully keep them in line. Again, people are people. And, but again, I think last piece, it always goes down to, are you bringing in that right franchisee? Do they want to listen? Do they want to follow a system? And if it's someone that can, consistently needs to have their hand slapped, then maybe we have a discussion that, this franchise isn't the right move for you.
Hashtag danger sheet. Got it.
With that, we have the danger of going over time. I want to be conscious of every time. So I want to first thank everybody for attending today, watching the recording, and thank you especially, Maddie. Couldn't have done this without you at all. If you are interested in the demo, you can pull out your phone, scan that. We will share our full report with everybody and follow up along with the recording. But I want to do a special shout out to Sydney, who, because I'm stuck in an airport hotel due to a flight delay, ran the slides for me, not knowing she was going to do that just right before the webinar. So great job, Sydney, and I'll let you bring it home.
Perfect. Thank you, Matt and Maddie, so much. This was great for me. I learned a lot, although I'm not a franchisee or franchisor. This is super helpful for me, so I'm sure it was very helpful for everyone on the call. But again, the recording and a copy of the slide deck will be sent around to everyone before end of day. And if you have any questions for Maddie or Matt, please feel free to shoot me an email, and I can make that connection as well. But thank you guys so much again, and thank you to Constant Contact for sponsoring, and I hope everyone has a great rest of your week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Take care.